You're listening to the Nerd to Know Media Network. Join us at nerdtoknowmedia.com.
Broadcasting from the Blanchistan Center, this is Phoenix FM.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies.
According to the Nerd Index, you should be upside down in a junior high toilet around the clock.
This is We're going live! Time goes in, time goes out. Never miscommunication.
It's over 9,000! My name is Foxy.
The balls are in there. How they all roll? Don't chase me, bro! It's a trap! I'm a firing money. Time to Hey, Charlie, wake up! Oh, God, oh, man.
Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of the Nerd to Know Basis Show, airing on Phoenix 92.5 FM. I am Gian, and to save alphabetical confusion, with me this week is Dara and Kev.
Hey, this works a lot better.
Get your name out of my mouth.
This works a lot better. Let's do this in future.
If only we thought of that 159 episodes ago.
We got there eventually.
Kian, you're full of good ideas at any given
Remember
time.
when we had like 7 people on here and it was like a nightmare?
We got there eventually.
It was a real jigsaw type of game.
Yeah. Now, this will be an interesting episode, not just because of what we're going to talk about, but because there's a random element, which is we're going to keep going until Dara gets sick or falls asleep.
And random lobsters.
Yes, start your watches now. Could be 5 minutes.
Could be 55 minutes. We don't know.
Maybe he'll flag, and then a rant about something on the internet will just perk him up, and we'll be here for 3 hours. We just don't know.
We could bring up Roadhouse and just adrenaline shot him in the heart.
No, here's what we do. We don't bring up J.J. Abrams, KOTOR, or any of these things.
Yes, it would be terrible if someone brought those up, wouldn't it?
Somebody, not naming names.
I am struggling with this cold quite a lot. I don't know what's up with it. I mean, like, I've done this show with COVID twice, 3 or 4 times, I think. And it was grand, but whatever it is about this specific cold that's gone around, it is kicking my butt. So I think I'm not the only one. Everyone seems to have a cold at the moment. It's like really weird.
Yeah, there was a line of people for COVID tests when I was going to get them the other day. But you know what? That's for a time capsule. We've actually, for once, got about 11 topics, and we're going to get to about 2.5.
Well,
so,
we'll try. We'll try do 3.
We'll try do 3. Optimistic. Okay.
I have been doing KOTOR deep dives though, so it's very hard for me not to jump into that.
If only somebody didn't mention KOTOR.
Yeah. If anyone at home, could you jangle keys if KOTOR comes up or something? You know.
I still can't believe when we were doing that panel that like half the room didn't know about KOTOR.
I can absolutely believe that because it's called
I don't know
KOTOR.
Well, Knights of the Old Republic. I mean, I can't.
Yeah, you know that.
Yeah, it was a Star Wars panel.
KOTOR sounds like a C-grade Klingon.
Listen, they go to a Star Wars panel and they don't know about Knights of the Republic. Shameful.
Right, we're jangling the keys. I believe there was a Marvel Variety thing.
Oh, there was. Yes,
I don't know about that you wanted to talk about before we started recording.
Thank you, Kane. The professional in the room,
keeping us on track. No, the big news was over the last week, Variety, the major news network, put out basically a state of affairs as far as kind of Marvel is concerned. Because we've kind of talked around it over the past couple of weeks. Marvel's been in a bit of a free fall.
Yeah. I seem to be the only person who still really enjoys it anymore.
Keen, I just want to say one thing, right? And I mean this with love.
You never mean it with love.
I always do, but it just comes off like I don't. You can see the good in everything. So
that's the scenic route to an insult.
It's not an insult. I mean it in the best way. I mean, like, you know, when you say, "Oh, I liked it," I will then ask your amazing wife. I'll be like, "What did you think about it?" And that will be the actual opinion. So, because when you say it, you know, it could be okay, but it also could be the worst thing in the world, and you like the costumes or something. So,
Costumes are good.
But like, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's just like, you know, you stuck around watching Doctor Who when it was terrible.
Yeah, and now David Tennant and Ncuti Gatwa and like Neil Patrick Harris are here, and because I waited, damn it, good things come to those who wait.
You are a patient man, and we will. And frankly, it is through that grit and determination that I think we've even made it to this many episodes of the podcast.
But the thing about it is, I think your patience has kind of paid off a little, but also our position has also had some sort of impact, because like now they're saying, okay, Marvel's been in a bit of free fall, Disney stock is not doing well, and people overall are kind of getting burned out with the whole superhero thing. So it looks like they're going to go for a Hail Mary here, right? So there's been other things like the Blade movie being cancelled.
Well, cancelled?
Yeah.
No, it's back. They just completely reshuffled staff and got a new director in.
And their lead has walked.
Apparently he's back. No,
Is he back?
Apparently he's back. I think it was that he almost walked.
Okay.
Allegedly.
Okay.
Again, there's a Variety article on Marvel. It will tell all of this much more concisely than we will. But to kind of get the grand scheme of things, the Blade, the cliff notes on the Blade one is that there's about 4 reworks of that movie that have happened. One of which involved a script where Blade was not even a secondary character.
He was the 4th character.
He was the 4th character, and the movie was simply not about him.
Yeah.
And again, keep in mind, like they've had Mahershala Ali
from the beginning. That was like one of the selling points. They've now scrapped that, started from the beginning. I think now it's actually running on a very reduced budget. Okay.
I think 10 million, which for Marvel is indie.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I heard that like some episodes of She-Hulk were projected at 25 million.
22 million an episode.
Yeah.
22.
And honestly,
I suspect that's an average because of the guest stars they had.
No, it was CGI. That's what it was.
But it wasn't worth it.
No, it wasn't. But okay, the takeaway from this is, right, that, and again, there is the article that goes into it much better than we can, but there is one takeaway on it, that they're trial ballooning / testing the water for bringing Robert Downey Jr. back.
Oh, no.
Captain America back. And basically doing the original Avengers back. Now, how they can do that is very easy because of the whole multiverse thing, and it looks like it's probably be a Secret Wars kind of thing where they pull them from different dimensions. Will that work? I will go. Is it a good idea?
No.
But I will still go.
Addendum, since that article, Feige has like very lightly, veiledly debunked it, but like in that way, as you said, as testing the waters of like, oh, well, we were just, that's not true, but
like releasing the story to see how people react. Like
womp, maybe.
Yeah. And that's kind of it. There, it really does kind of like very silly to do this, but at the same time, they have no. They're in free fall. There's
a few different things they're attempting. That seems to be the Hail Mary of, well, if everything else fails, go for what worked before. They seem to be kind of rebranding and reorganizing different aspects of what's coming out. Like Echo, the next one coming out next year, they're putting under a Marvel Spotlight brand.
Yeah.
So something like what
Ghost Rider?
No, Werewolf by Night.
Oh, okay.
Kind of was of its own little standalone, just kind of there in the background. And honestly, I watched that trailer. I didn't think I'd actually be excited for Echo. It looks decent.
Well, I mean, it's her and Wilson Fisk. Like, that's a strong starting point. Like,
again, Mahershala Ali. I think they've now, at least the current incarnation of it, they've announced it is getting an R rating in the US. So
I remember there was a bit of flack when it was going to be 12s. Yeah.
So it seems like they're reshuffling and reorganizing, and I think the Marvels is going to be kind of the last of this. Oh, and actually, a whole other mention of this was obviously the whole Jonathan Majors scandal. We touched on that a couple of months ago. That's been kind of ever ongoing. Apparently, it's also come out now that he has been very aggressive to his staff. And been dropped by like one of his publishing agencies.
Yeah, I've heard that they're looking to kind of pivot to Doctor Doom.
Yeah, that's it. Like they're kind
that's a Hail Mary pass in and of itself,
Yeah,
but I know the reason for it is, sorry for jumping across you, Kev. The reason for it is they it's basically because they can put anyone in the mask. It's not literally someone's face that could mess things up. From what I heard,
I still think they could just recast Kang. I don't think that.
Dude, his face is everywhere.
And I know, but Marvel does not trust its audiences enough to suspend their disbelief and just assume that that's a different character. They have no faith in their audience then.
Like he's got a blue, like the radio people listening won't, but look at that face. That could be anyone.
Look at that face.
To be fair, I will watch Quantum Mania. Anything could have been behind that rubber CG mask. It looked bad anyway.
I actually thought the CG in Ant-Man was quite good.
Ooh, not when Kang was blue.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. I thought it was good. It looked good in the cinema.
Listen, I liked the guy with the laser for the face. That was pretty fun.
I liked
Broccoli Man.
I liked all of that movie.
I thought the movie was bad.
I had a great time.
I liked it too. Yeah, not like the best thing in the world, but I thought it was fun. Like
I saw it twice.
There you go.
I paid for it twice.
Stronger man than I.
I don't see what I don't see what the problem was. I was like, this is okay.
Yeah, I found it aggressively boring.
Yeah, of course, because it's an Ant-Man movie. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why they thought, you know what we need to do? Hang everything on Ant-Man. The guy who makes himself smaller? Yeah, that guy. That's the one. Silly people.
Well, I mean, in the end, like, if they are, like, which it seems like they are, severing ties with Majors, like, it is a good way of kind of having their cake and eating it too, because Kang is, we've seen it, you know.
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
not something coming far like, you know. It's if they've got the freedom to do, like, I think it's just recast it personally if they have to. But, like, you know, if they wanted to scrap it, which I would hope they don't, but if they do, like, you know, we can say Kang exists. Here's his wiki page, so on, you know?
Go figure it out yourselves.
Yeah. And I suspect that...
I'm sorry, I have to go back now.
Reposition the new Kang figure, be it actor-wise or just personality-wise.
Fair. No, that's genuinely fair.
Yeah. Well, I suppose while we're on the topic of Kang, to keep things Marvel and contemporary, what's everyone's vibe on Loki so far? We're gearing up for the finale.
Which people will have seen by the time this went out.
It's a show about nothing.
I love it.
I'm with Dara on this. It's a show where the last season ended and nothing's happened since then.
Yeah, but everything's falling apart. And it's falling apart in interesting ways, and I like that.
It's a show about nothing.
Is it falling apart in interesting ways, though? Because it seemed like they introduced a lot of characters who I never knew were named of or never cared about, and then immediately killed all of them.
But look, okay, compare this to like the other Marvel-y Disney Plus things. They're all just not just movies, obviously, but they're all basically blockbusters where you get your half an hour chunk a week. But this one, it's like, in the last season, they broke the universe, like, in a proper big way, in a way that we were like, where's the multiverse for like 5 Marvel things that kept never turning up? And now in this one, they demonstrate that, yeah, they've broken it. And every week we get, here's a little bit more of why it's broken. And it feels like every episode is an episode and not like a chunk of a movie. It's got its own thing going on. I like all the characters. Each episode is like a weird sci-fi or time travel conceit. I dig it, and I like all the character stuff. I really like it.
So I can see both sides of this, right? One, I don't hate it, right? I really don't. But it is a show about nothing, right? And that's the last time I'll say that, because you guys aren't responding to
it's a show without plot.
You guys aren't responding to my Fairly Odd Parents reference, which I'm disappointed in. Anyway,
I thought you were referring to Seinfeld.
I was, but they reference it in Fairly Odd Parents too. That's the joke. Anyway, no, but right, it is a very slow series of Doctor Who, right? And I don't hate it. I think it's grand, but like it just feels like they're building towards something that it's the problem that all these Marvel shows have, with the exception of the werewolf one.
Which wasn't really a show. Like,
No, exactly. It was its own kind of thing. It's like they're building up to this big thing. It's like, all right, bye. You're like, oh my God, no. You know, like there's cool moments in it, and I've enjoyed watching it, and it's Loki's the one I've enjoyed out of most of them, out of all of them actually. I'm still quite bitter about one or two of them, but it's just with these shows they need to be like, right, you need to actually achieve something. Something needs to happen. There needs to be a reason to watch it, because and this is the comic book problem. When people are like, people just go to me all the time, oh Dara, how do I get started on comics? And I'd be like, just pick up something and read it. And if you like it, just keep reading it. And what happened is a lot of comics are filler. And this is a problem that isn't in manga. Manga actually tends to wrap up quite consistently, or something tends to happen. So we've fallen into this, and whatever Marvel are doing going forward, they need to be like, right, we need less content, or content that matters. And Loki, as much as I do like it, and I really like the characters, I'm like, please, something has to happen.
But see, that's like you've hit upon what I like about it there, which is that it is compared to like your Moon Knights and your Falcons, which are very much like, here is the bad guy we need to beat, and episode 6 will all be us beating him in the CGI. Like, this one feels like 6 or 7 quirky characters essentially locked in 4 or 5 different rooms, and consistently trying and failing to fix things. And essentially that's just a vehicle for them to kind of bounce off each other in fun ways. And that, to me, feels so refreshing, because the Marvel formula does kind of strip the characters of character.
Yeah,
you know?
I will
so
give you that.
I like the vibe of Loki in contrast.
I'm actually I do not agree. I think if anything, this season has reduced the characters down to one-dimensionality.
Really?
I think that they are lesser than they have been. Loki does not feel like the Loki we have gotten to know across this entire saga.
There's a reason for that. Do you know what it is, Kev?
Is it the strikes? Is it what?
No, kind of, sort of. You're close. Different director.
Yeah.
And that's what
I'm not sure I agree. When in that episode 2, when he was like closing the guy in the box, I got a nice sense of like retro dangerous Loki.
Question, Keen. Hold on. Question, Keen. What's the name of the guy in the box?
Oh, that I don't know. He's the guy from
that's my point.
Oh yeah, but they're all called bloody B15 and 759 and all that. Okay, don't you lay that at my door.
I know his name, and I know his fake name.
Go on.
Bradley is the name he chose, and right. X10, right?
Okay, all right, fair play.
But the thing about it is, it's like, I know that because I don't know how I know that, but I just did, right? I don't know how that retained in my brain. But I mean, normal people wouldn't know that and don't care. And it's kind of like they're building up. It's the same problem that happened with Ahsoka, where there's this level of investment where, yeah, if you're super into it, you'll get all this and you'll be. But for like the average person watching Loki, what is there for them? Not a whole lot. You know, I like it, but I also understand why people hate it. I mean, that's the best way I can put it. That's the best way.
I think it is simply too slow, and especially considering how they set up the last season finished on served up the promise of cataclysm.
Yeah, you're spot on there. Yeah,
like I haven't watched the 5th episode myself now, but 4 episodes in, what happens at the end of that 4th episode felt like that's what should have happened at the end of the 1st.
Yeah,
right.
And they just extradated everything out to there.
Yeah,
and yeah, like to kind of put it clear, I don't hate everything that Marvel has done in the TV universe. If anything, I probably have the contentious view that I think the best TV show they put out is She-Hulk.
Oh,
I actually really like She-Hulk. Yeah,
no,
because it's not trying to be a movie stretch out to 6 episodes. It was a TV show.
Oh, Kev, you wound me.
Okay, I mean, I get where you're coming from, but like in terms of saying, you know, nothing's happening, all that kind of stuff, I kind of like stories where instead of the universe blowing up like the Death Star, things are kind of winding down and it's quite sinister, like melancholia, that kind of vibe. Like, I don't want to say like, oh, you haven't seen it, but like episode 5 goes for that in a big way, where the universes start peeling apart and it's just like stringy dust and all that. So I kind of like the fact that while they're all dealing with all their personal issues, everything is falling apart and how it's big and small at the same time, you know?
That's I'm not looking I say that the promise of Cataclysm was what was interesting. I don't mind smaller stories that become more personal, but it felt like the personal stakes were just far less interesting and the characters suffered from it. Like,
okay, that's fair.
Like Sylvie had an interesting arc in the first season, but now her entire character motivation seems to just be angry at everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we kind of mentioned theories. I have a feeling in the Kang reshuffle that Loki is going to end up like creating and running the TVA.
Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen.
That's going to be the thing that's
probably what's going to happen.
Her and him and Sylvie apart, and then that will open the door to either Loki becoming a villain. Because, like you say, you want to bring back Marvel people from the past. Having Loki be your new Kang is a pretty good angle, you know. Or alternatively, he could turn up in Thor as the god of time, and like, you know, you've got an interesting hook there. You know,
I don't know. So, look, whatever's happening here now with Marvel, they really need to get their head out of the you know what and start having a plan, because
there needs to be a direction. Things need to start linking into each other.
It just seems like that. You know, this is the Star Wars, and I promise I won't go into a rant. This is the Star Wars problem where either they had a plan and they've moved away from it, or they're course correcting as they're going, which is what happened with Star Wars. Or worse again, which is probably true, they had a plan. The plan was too comic booky, and now they have to fix it. You know, there needs to be some big bad that people can, or something that people can relate to.
It's not that there's no big bad. There's too many things in the air. Do you remember that Eternals ended on a cliffhanger?
That nobody's referenced except for one time.
Yeah, and
except for one time.
So you have Kang, you have the Marvel Suicide Squad, you've got the Skrulls, you've got, oh my god, probably multiverse as well. Like, Wanda's still like, obviously, like, there's always like hanging plot threads. Like, Wanda's probably still out there somewhere.
Oh no, they have been, no, PR has made it abundantly clear. Wanda Maximoff is dead.
Okay, they have
come out and said, no, that woman, no, everything else up in the air. She's dead.
That woman is finished.
That woman is dead.
Oh, she's dead. But we're bringing Captain America and Iron Man. Yeah, those two things make sense. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Wanda could come back, just not that Wanda. Wanda.
Yeah.
Actually, wait, no, she's an Nexus being. Sorry. No. Wait, no, hold on a second. No, she has been shown to be alive in other episodes, actually. So, I mean.
Anyway, my point is that, like, you know, I do think they made the right move in not charging straight into another Infinity Stone thing. I think scaling it back and starting off with some new characters was the right way to go. But now it's been too long, and do you remember that Shang-Chi referenced Galactus? Like, you know, there's too many.
I want to even take a step back from that. You guys remember Shang-Chi?
I like that movie.
It was it was a good movie. That was like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
It wasn't 6 years ago. It just feels like 6 years ago.
But anyway, that's half our show.
So actually, I have a serious question for you guys, right? If they're like, look, because the other option is they reboot from the beginning, which would be terrible.
Absolutely not.
That'd be terrible. What? Okay, actually, I'll break this up. I'll break this up, right? So, Kev, if they said to you tomorrow, right, we're going to do one final movie to end everything with the original cast. It's going to be Secret Wars. It's going to bring everything together, and then that's going to be, you know, every Marvel product that comes out afterwards will be like its own kind of thing. Would you prefer that, or would you prefer kind of like an Uber course correct?
No, neither. Like, that's. I think that
what should they do? What should they do?
I think they should stop trying to build everything. they need to keep scaling back. They thought that the plan post Endgame was just ramp up and just keep making everything. 3 movies a year, several TV shows. Let's keep making content. No, that's only going to blow up in their face because there's no clear direction in that. They need to just scale back severely.
Okay.
And I'm talking about that on like every level of this. Less movies a year, less budget. I don't know. Like, I think one of the worst indictments of the Marvels is that it's cost $250 million. Like, there is no need for a movie to cost that much money because they are only setting themselves up for box office failure.
Yeah, it's like Indiana Jones.
Yeah, like there's no need. And I that's why I'm so excited for Blade, because I heard $10 million. There's
proper,
there
like,
is
small Blumhouse, like.
Well, it won't be small Blumhouse. It is still Disney.
No, but I
Let's not-
mean in terms of like, wouldn't it be great if the horror elements
Oh,
were like
yeah.
small, as opposed to Blade mowing through loads of CGI vampires? Do you know what I mean? Like,
All they have to do with Blade is literally remake the first one again. That's it. Just with better CGI. Just do that. Just do that. Base it in the 90s.
If they did, you'd hate it.
Yeah. Plus, I mean,
Yeah, probably,
also
but still.
the big change is the VFX workers need to unionize. That's also the other big thing that needs to get thrown in with the bathwater.
Well, we've talked about this. We've talked about that on this show before, where we got directly from the horse's mouth a Marvel VFX artist who kind of agrees with what's going on with everything. So yeah, I mean, that's a whole thing in and of itself, you know. But
well, they have voted to unionize. That is something in the works. So I am hopeful that everything there works better. Also, just side note, I was reading, because I would have been too young to really kind of like understand that. The reason that Disney pivoted from 2D to 3D animation wasn't that 3D was necessarily cheaper and easier to use. 2D animators were unionized.
Oh well.
Oh, right around the time Princess and the Frog.
Well, yeah, that's Prince of the Frog was the last union 2D animation.
Right.
Because they realized, we can exploit the other ones easier.
Keen.
Oh, I just thought they were trying to trick people into thinking they were Pixar's.
Maybe that too, actually.
Little bit of both. But
Keen, what would you want from Marvel?
Okay. I don't think you actually need to change that much. I think the secret sauce is not just a direction and where things are going, but interesting character mashups. The Marvels kind of has that potential, but like, Thor and Hulk having a movie together. Didn't see that coming. That's interesting. Take people, instead of having all of these like little bubbles, take people from different corners of Marvel and put them together and see what happens, mix and match. Try some pop Shang-Chi with some spacey person, see what they get on with. Like, get a bit more random, a bit more creative. Throw in, pop the werewolf person in a Blade movie with Moon Knight. See how they get on. Maybe they don't. Like, because like there is huge benefits to the pick and mix version of Phase 4, but you need to start kind of mashing your elements together instead of making like, movies are made of ingredients. You can't just lay out a load of separate ingredients and call it a universe,
Nobody actually, that's a very good point. Nobody actually likes origin story movies. No one likes origin stories, period. Yeah. Which I think, the way some people were talking about Spider-Man, despite the Marvel Spider-Man being like, oh, we haven't had Uncle Ben hasn't been killed.
Yeah.
Because we know he's, I'd say with the new Batman movie, it's like, we didn't need to see his parents being shot.
Yeah.
We know
Batman's a really good example. They just jumped straight into the middle and had.
That's what they should do. But that's what they should. That's what they should be doing.
How much more boring would it be if it was just Batman and one villain?
It would have been so boring. But that's what they should. That's
play
what they
with
should
the
do.
fact that it's a universe. Have someone from Spider-Man's cast turn up organically in a movie that's not a Spider-Man movie. Obviously, there's rights, but you know what I mean. Like
not anymore. They own everything.
Like the Netflix Marvels didn't do a lot right, but post Defenders, it was really fun when characters from one show wandered into another, and it made it feel real.
Yeah, but that's what should be happening. That's what should be happening.
Like Foggy Nelson turns up to give Luke Cage legal advice for one episode. Great. Misty Knight is in the entirety of Iron Fist season 2. Great. Mix and match, you know.
I think Marvel hit that on the head one time, and that was in No Way Home when Charlie Cox shows up.
Exactly. And that's nothing. That's get him on set for a day. It's so like, look at Hawkeye. Every episode, someone new turned up and they organically slotted into the show. I know that show's no one's favorite apart from mine, but it makes it feel real and organic, doesn't it? Like,
I would rather watch that every day than most of the Marvel shows.
Well, there you go. Exactly. It gives it that sort of, like, I'm rewatching all of the Tom Holland Spider-Mans just because they're on Netflix. And, you know, it's nice when you see a little bit of overlap. I'm not saying mashing them randomly will guarantee results, but it will make it feel a little bit more fluid, you know?
Yeah, I think, like, between the three of us, we've come up with something, Keen. I think your one is the most consistent, but it still carries in a lot of what Kev was saying. If they're going, I think the problem is they're going comic booky, but they're not. You know, comic book character, like in comic books, characters just show up sometimes. Yeah, and they're like that was literally what the Fantastic Four did for years. Their own book was garbage. And particularly
Spider-Man 1 had the Fantastic Four in it, like.
Spider-Man.
But they may be copping onto that, though, because I haven't seen the Marvels yet, but I've been reading the reviews. And in one of the reviews, it says a subplot is Nick Fury hanging out with Kamala Khan's family. Brilliant. Absurd. I love it. Completely unexpected. I'll take it.
I will not be watching that movie.
I know you're not. But that's what I mean, though. Take these characters and put them in unexpected pairings. See what happens.
But that's what should be happening. I mean, that's what should be happening. Like, it's like, if the Marvels, I'll tell you what, I will say this. If the Marvels can be successful despite itself, they will have succeeded.
I should point out, it is not out.
No, it's not out yet. But I mean, if I pay to go see it, it has been successful. But otherwise, it'll just be like something where I'm like, yeah, that didn't happen. You know? Yeah. And I say that not as somebody who dislikes Miss Marvel, which I do. I also dislike Captain Marvel. I also dislike. It's like they put all the people who I don't like in Marvel in one.
I wouldn't interrogate that thought too much.
No, I mean, those characters are just dog. You know what? In the comics, like, there's a reason why Miss Marvel didn't sell. I have Miss Marvel #1. It is worth 20 cents.
Which Miss Marvel #1 though?
Like,
there's so many reboots.
The most recent one that came out. Yeah.
Well, look, if they're following the films, they're usually rubbish.
No, well, fair. But what I'm saying to you is there's a reason why those books don't sell. But I have no interest in those characters, and I don't find them interesting. But it's a good litmus test, right? If they can make that movie a success, like a legitimate success where people are like, oh, they did this and this and this, and they were interesting, I'd be like, awesome, I'll go see it. And then I'd be like, cool, they're able to do it. Because it's very, very easy to hit the reset button or to bring in a Robert Downey Jr. or a Captain America or a big character, because you're going to go see that based on name value. I think this is a much bigger test. But you only see
that one. That's the thing.
Exactly. But if they do it if the Marvels is actually able to succeed on its own merit, that would be great. And then I'll be like, cool, I think Marvel's figured it out. But we'll have to see. I'm always kind of hesitant when it comes to like reshoots.
The fact that it's only 100 minutes gives me a lot of faith.
That's good.
No flack on it. Just give me fun superhero and let me go home.
Kev, because I know you're quite a big fan of all those characters. Do you have faith in the movie as it is, or are you kind of like me, where you're like, this needs to actually do something?
I'm intrigued. Again, speaking to what Keane was saying, I like the idea of a crossover. That excites me. I did like Miss Marvel quite a lot. I was quite a fan of that show, that character, and I like the idea.
Did you play the game? Did you play the game?
No, I didn't play the game.
The game is the game.
You never listen. You talked about it. You never convinced me.
The game was the final nail in the coffin of Miss Marvel for me.
You never
the bait and switch.
You were never you were talking about the Avengers game when I was playing Baldur's Gate. You were never going to convince me to play that game.
But see, this is the thing. I mean,
you were talking about this 2 Baldur's Gates ago.
I could play several Baldur's Gates.
Sorry, go on, I interrupted. But I was just like, I thought you would have played the game because it was fun until Miss Marvel showed up, and then
man, I got other things to play. I'm playing Cyberpunk now.
Oh my god, yes. Yes. Yeah, I love the update. We'll talk about that
Stay
next.
on topic.
Yeah.
Stay on target.
But
stay
no,
on target.
I am intrigued. I probably, for the simple fact that I don't live near a cinema anymore, won't end up going to see it, and will wait 3 months and watch it on my TV, because that's what
a lot of the comments I've seen on reviews are saying. That kind of manipulates the value of the film as well, doesn't it?
It would take. I think I said this around the time of Indiana Jones. It would take something. It would take something being groundbreaking for Disney to put out for me to go and see it.
And that's what needs to happen. That's where I am too. I'm like, there's nothing dragging me into that cinema, right?
Yeah.
But if
Hot
they
dogs.
can actually, sorry, what?
Hot
Hot dogs.
Even still, man. I mean, Brie Larson's face drives me mad. So I mean,
That's incredibly specific.
Yeah, she's just so annoying. It's unbelievable.
Again, I don't want to interrogate this, but we're just going to keep going.
Are you noticing a trend in the characters you're not liking?
They're called Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel.
You're getting there.
So he'll figure it out. but like I don't think Marvel has done anything I don't think Marvel has done anything since Endgame that would actually get me into a cinema. And even
you know what
even
they
then,
could do? You know what they could do? They could have Captain Marvel. That would be cool. Like the OG Captain Marvel.
They killed her.
No, the actual Captain Marvel. The actual Captain Marvel. The dude who was called Captain Marvel and died.
Yeah, I have his comics. He's boring. The best thing he did was die.
There you go. That would be interesting. I'd be like, oh man, cool.
Oh, that guy died. I love it.
Oh, but I don't know. Look, they're the most boring characters in Marvel.
And that's the other thing. You know, there's. Listen, we have spent what time we at, Cian? Most of this episode talking about Marvel.
18 minutes left.
18 minutes left.
Well,
there's also
a new record.
Yeah, there's also just other movies.
I did say 1.5 at the start. In fairness,
there's Marvel isn't in a bubble. There's other movies out that I could go see.
That's true.
I could travel for 20 minutes to go see a Marvel movie that will end up likely being mediocre that I can watch in 3 months on my TV, or I could go see what I think is bound to be a hit cult classic comedy.
That's as good a segue as any. Take it away.
Which I had the pleasure of seeing yesterday evening, and I'm going to be dancing around a lot of it, considering we are on at 5. But the basic premise is 2 teenage girls start an underground fight club in their school to get the attention of girls they think are pretty. And
MMA dating simulator.
Yeah,
2023.
Kind of. But like it's got that like Heathers kind of vibe to it.
Oh yes, you sold me already.
It's got that kind of.
What is the genre of this movie?
Dark comedy.
Lost.
Dark comedy.
So hold on, Heathers the musical or Heathers the 1980s classic?
A bit of both, honestly.
Incredible. I will go see this movie
because it is in that like heightened reality where things are just a little bit up to like in the background of a couple of scenes as like a setup for something that happens later. One of the guys in their school is just in a cage.
What?
And nobody brings it up and nobody mentions it.
Okay.
And like it's good. It's so funny. The 2 leads are also spectacular. I can't think of anything else she's been in, but one of them is Rachel Sennett. She looks like one of the girls in Stranger Things, but it's not her. But I had to be certain of that. But the other
discount Stranger Things girl.
Hell, at this point, Stranger Things girls discount Rachel Sennett.
Fair enough.
I don't know. I know Rachel Sennett's name, so we're gonna put it there. But the other one is Ayo Edebiri, who does a killer performance because I recognized her face the moment I saw her first on screen, but it wasn't until I saw her name in the credits did I realize, oh, that's Sydney from The Bear.
Okay.
Still haven't seen The Bear.
The
Heard good
Bear's
things.
great. The
Heard
Bear's
good
great.
things.
But it's that she manages to play a very convincing, awkward teen lesbian, where in The Bear she is like a woman in her 30s.
That's an actor right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's like no, she is stellar. Yeah, no, like it's hard to kind of get into the grips of a comedy movie because I don't want to just sit here explaining jokes.
Well, I'll tell you what then.
But
Instead
then,
of
like,
giving away the plot, like
He gave away the plot.
who would this film appeal to? Let's say, like, based on similar things or anything like that.
Cult classics, like Heathers. I think if you like Mean Girls, if you even like things like like Rocky Horror Show. I just comedy fans, honestly. Like it's even kind of hitting that a vein we haven't seen a lot of in those kind of like 80s sex comedies.
Raunchy teen comedies,
Yeah.
Comedies in general aren't made for movies anymore.
No, they aren't.
No.
And there was one, I think the start of it was No Hard Feelings. So that kind of opened the doors a bit to those movies coming back.
Is that the
Jennifer Lawrence.
with Mystique in it? Yeah, Jennifer Lawrence. Yeah,
With Mystique in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that actually wasn't a bad movie, to be fair.
it looked good, like for what it was. Like,
Yeah, it very much was what it was.
yeah,
but I
like
think
the only one I could like think of like even years was like Blockers with John Cena a few years
actually,
ago.
that was actually really funny as well.
Yeah,
Really
but
funny.
like they're few and far between nowadays. Probably because they all go to streaming.
Yeah,
Like, even
that's
Adam
understandable.
Sandler's on streaming. Not that I really like his stuff, but
Adam Sandler.
yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, streaming. Enter the Panderverse. Hilarious. Really quick.
It's a South Park, by the way.
South Park, yeah. It's basically the conversation we just had a few minutes ago is kind of like what that show is about, where it takes both sides and kind of interrogates them, and it
Well,
has
that's
some good points.
South Park in a nutshell, isn't it?
Yeah, which is why it's funny. It's pretty much like all the stuff that's happening in Marvel and Star Wars and stuff.
Yeah. Well, like South
and
Park,
media in
I
general.
think they coin the phrase "member berries."
Yes, they did.
Like that's a big cultural thing now.
I mean, look, the thing about South Park is it's always fair. It always kind of looks at everything from both sides and always does put a really harsh light onto it.
Yeah.
And it is funny because it attacks people who like on both sides, really. And
Yeah.
says, this is how ridiculous this is. And it hits that nice middle ground, which I do try to strive for, but don't always get there. But they're obviously better than I am. So if you haven't seen it, it's very funny. It is hilarious. And it's the first time South Park has been like culturally relevant really since Member Berries, I would say. But I know you guys haven't seen it, but I wanted to mention it because it's the reason why I installed Paramount Plus.
Ah.
Yeah, Dara didn't have the immediate Star Trek bug. That's
it. It's I was looking at it, I'm like, oh, it has all the Mission Impossibles and Star Trek.
Well, speaking of Paramount, then, do you want to talk about Lower Decks or Frasier? What a weird mix.
Or
Frasier's
hold on. That might be your two things. I have got another reason to talk about Paramount, and that's I'm watching the very timely and very hit show Twin Peaks.
Yes, what a show!
All right, we'll do that one first.
What a
Go on.
show!
The remake third series. I'm assuming.
No, this is the original.
Oh my goodness!
I just simply have never.
You are
watched Twin
late.
Peaks.
To that
Hold on,
party.
hold on. You've never seen Twin Peaks until recently?
No.
Oh my God, Kev! It's the best show ever.
I'm
Like,
solidly like
No disrespect, but you look like a guy who's seen Twin Peaks.
You do. You look like a guy in college who talked
It
about
was one
Twin
of the
Peaks
first
incessantly to
things I
everybody.
thought of when I met you.
Literally, you're that guy in the lecture who's wearing a Twin Peaks top, who talks about it consistently to the point that you have to leave, and then you come back and you're like, okay, that guy was pretty cool, but talking about Twin Peaks constantly, and then that's what you strike me as. I'm shocked by this, and I mean that with love.
Wow, you've absolutely read me. I can't. Yeah, I've been rinsed.
And look, I mean it with love, of course, but
Yeah, no. I suppose it's that I may give off that vibe, but I never had a Twin Peaks DVD.
Well,
box
then,
set.
you know what? As
so
a
good.
newcomer,
So
just give us the vibe. Give us your take on it. Like,
I knowing just kind of like what I knew from like general cultural osmosis, I am surprised at how normal it actually is. So
normal.
That's
No,
so
like
cra-
that's the thing is that like I was expecting So, like, for those of you like me who in the year of 2023 have never watched Twin Peaks, first off, it is on Paramount, even though they will never tell you that unless you look for it.
Which is bizarre.
It is one of the, I think it's the second project of David Lynch's.
It's like
something like that. Yeah.
No, it's
like I think it's a bit later because
third or fourth,
he did Elephant Man and Dune and a couple of
okay.
It's first TV show. 1990, I believe, is when it went down.
It's the first.
It was a name,
it's the first project that he had complete creative control over.
It's the love child of David Lynch and Mike Frost, I think, is the other writer. Mark Frost. And the base premise is a small, sleepy town in the far northern North America, bordering Canada. Find the body of a dead teenage girl who was the head of the cheerleader squad, and an FBI agent has to come in and try to figure out the murder. And it's the story of this town and the strange goings on and the network of people throughout, and the oddball dreamlike logic that weaves its way into the case of this murder. But that's the thing, is that like I kind of knew like it was a show steeped in dream logic and steeped in supernatural. But it is like with that foreknowledge going in, I think it is surprisingly grounded, considering the knowledge of that.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering about, because like you have to imagine Twin Peaks, because it's essentially a parody of like, you know, kind of drama soap operas with that same music plugged in every single time characters get weepy and all that. But like if you're coming at this from like 10 years of like The Simpsons referencing it, for example,
Burns' suit,
doing all the weird
stuff.
Burns' suit. Oh wow, I love this cherry cream pie while I dance with the unicorn.
And you've done fine coffee.
If you're exposed to like all of the weirdest stuff about Twin Peaks without having seen it, the fact that it's not that 24/7.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's like, you know, the stuff like the Red Room and the Giant and Bob and Mike aren't shocking, because I knew that because I've lived in the world and consumed media. So what was refreshing about it was the grounded serialized murder history.
Well, I think the magic trick, and all the actors do it, but Kyle MacLachlan's the lead, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, no. I think Dale Cooper,
like a really good comedy, they don't play up the weirdness.
No.
They really act as if everything around them is more or less perfectly acceptable in our reality, especially McLaughlin. Like, the log lady is weird, but she doesn't act weird.
No.
Do you know what I mean? It's like it's a perfectly normal thing for her to talk to a log, you know,
and for that log to unveil mysteries of the universe upon the law enforcement. Yeah, like that's just a part of this town.
Like even watching like the dream sequence where they're all talking backwards, he is just sitting and taking it in. You know, he's not like his eyes aren't bulging and all that kind of stuff.
And it's also charming. Like Louise, my fiance, she's not watching it, but she'll walk through the room with it. And there was like one of Dale Cooper's many just ticks is that he'll walk into the room and just play a little flute he's whittled and just kind of continue on. And Louise saw that. Louise saw that happen. I was like, oh, that's very charming. And then the camera panned to the left. There was nobody else in the room. She was like, wait, he just did that for himself? And like, that's it. Like they have, it's a show full of these characters with these little quirks that make them all very interesting, and very quickly you get to know all of the members of this town and this society, and their connections to one another, and all of the relationships and the conflicts. Yeah, and like it's a very well written show in that. So quickly you kind of get a handle on, oh, I'm not lost. I know who everyone is, and then the show kind of like spins its wheels and figures that out. Where I am midway about through season 2.
Okay.
I'm now at the point of the show seems to have resolved the major mystery, and it's still going.
I will put on my like nerdy cap for a second.
Yeah.
If you can, find the director's cut of the Fire Walk With Me movie, which is the series 2 finale, because they cut it down to like, now don't get me wrong, it's still good, but they cut it down to like an acceptable movie length, and what gets cut out is the weirdness, and it shows up in weird ways, because like David Bowie walks in to explain the plot, and they just blare up the sound and you can't hear what he's saying, and then it cuts.
Okay.
And that's all the exposition in the movie. So you see David Bowie wander in, and then we leave, and you're like, what? Why?
Yeah. Now, in saying all of this, it is a movie I'd recommend if you're looking for something kind of off the wall but engaging.
Yeah.
It is also very distinctly a movie from like the late 80s. So,
well, that's just it. Like The Simpsons, it's essentially sending up something that doesn't exist anymore. Like, you know.
Well, not even that. My thing is there is some questionable elements.
Okay.
A lot of questionable age gaps in legitimate relationships in that show that made me go, huh. And while I think it has been handled more tactfully than I anticipated, David Duchovny does show up playing a trans woman.
Yes, I forgot that was season 2. Yeah,
they play it up as a joke at first. It does, again, better than I thought. It does raise an eyebrow,
but they don't like the other characters don't like make fun of him or anything though.
I will flag.
They like, again, to them they kind of look and go, right, okay, like, you know.
I will flag that it was the early 90s.
That's exactly it. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, understand that it is a show from that time.
Yes.
And I'll be honest with you, if that had been made by anyone else, even 10 years after that,
it would have been far less
so much worse.
Yeah.
So
Lynch, like, there are ways of understanding that. Yeah, no, Lynch is doing an all right job. Just a few things that I was like, if you're in any way sensitive to anything,
it is worth flagging. Yeah,
that's fair. Not for you.
I honestly, I don't know how far you'd make it into that show though, if you were in any way and not like just because it's so bizarre, you know.
Well, I mean, there's being put off by bizarre and it's being put off by like personal representation stuff. They're two
fair, but they're not mutually exclusive. I mean, like that show isn't like, it isn't for, like, I hate to use this term, it isn't for everyone. You know what I mean? It's like there is a certain level of, I'm going to see some things that are different to me here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like when you're, for example, my mom stopped watching Freak Show, American Horror Story with Freak Show, because it physically disturbed her. And I mean, that was kind of the point of the show, right? So, but yeah, it's like anything made from its time, it's going to be, and then there's stuff even in American Horror Story, which is made by people who would be very about representation, that has some really sketchy, you know what, in there as well. Yeah. So, yeah, but
to be fair, I think Twin Peaks has an almost inbuilt filtering system.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
because it is a very slow start. Like that first season is almost a slow burn.
A slow start. You kidding me?
It's slow all.
No, there's the murder, and then there's like the slow middle,
and then they forget.
Yeah.
So like that, but like if you aren't. I think a lot of people who wouldn't be interested in the weird dream logic would have checked out by that first episode, because like you have to have patience to get through it. And if you have that sort of a patience, then you might actually be into what's happening.
And not only that, but you sort of have to be in on the joke that it's, I'm not going to say like rubbish on purpose, but it's kind of like, again, I keep going back to the music, because they have 3 pieces of music.
Yeah.
And they recycle them almost inappropriately. You know, it verges into being like melodrama on purpose.
Where I'm at now, they're kind of overlaying those 3 pieces of music at random intervals. If it is a love scene where there is something dramatic happening in the background, both will play at the same.
Yes.
Both will play at the same time in the most discordant
Seriously, put
tones.
the love theme from Twin Peaks next to the Dragonheart, like Sean Connery theme. They're the same piece of music. It's so jarring.
So here's my question in the time we have left. Kev.
You've got 55 seconds.
Kev or Keen, have you played Deadly Premonition?
No.
Oh, and you're not going to get me to in 49 seconds.
Deadly Premonition is Twin Peaks, the game.
No.
Okay. All right. You're winning me over.
But
Cool.
I am now watching a playthrough of Alan Wake 2.
Oh, yeah, that's a spiritual successor to it. So you're just as good. You're just as good.
Yeah, no, like that's it, like knowing what I know about either of them. Yeah, no, I can see. Yeah, it's both of them, Deadly Premonition and Alan Wake. It's just Twin Peaks.
Yeah, literally it is. And look, and if you haven't seen it, folks, listen at home, watch it. It's totally worth your time. Genuinely is.
Yeah, again, if you have Paramount, that app will not tell you it has Twin Peaks.
Yes.
So go search Twin Peaks on it.
I didn't even know that. I'm going to watch it again. And you know what? Life imitates art because Kev, you have now influenced me to watch Twin Peaks again.
There you go. And sadly, I did not get you to watch Frasier, but however.
Frasier's amazing. You don't need to. Frasier's class. Always.
We'll talk about that next time. Probably,
Okay.
maybe not.
Unless I find any more hidden gems hidden in the Paramount app.
Just going through the backside to be like, where is it? Where is it?
All right. Well, we'll run the risk in running like a minute over. Dara, is there anything you want to say before we wrap?
Two things. One, I'm going to talk about RoboCop next week because it's an amazing game. It's
Okay.
phenomenal. Buy it. And also, we're not sponsored by them, but I wish we were. Wicked Bricks. So if you're like me and you're a huge Lego fan, Lego getting dusty is a problem. I found this great website that sells like display cases, for want of a better word, and I love it. I think it's amazing. So yeah.
Do they have something for like storing minifigures, not necessarily
Yes.
displaying them,
Yes,
but
they do.
storing them? That's a problem
Yes.
I have.
Yes, they do. And
Okay.
like I have one here for 5 of them, and I was actually able to fit 10 in. So
That'll do. I've got hundreds of these things because I pick up like 10 at every Comic-Con.
they
So,
have
yeah.
a whole like solution to it. So I'm actually going to email them and be like, hey, you guys are awesome. I want to tell the world about it. But until then, we're not sponsored by them, but definitely go have a look. It's really cool.
All right. Kev, anything to say before we wrap?
No. Just hey, go play Baldur's Gate. It's a really good game. Learn from me in my third playthrough.
All right. On that note, having managed not to talk about Marvel for the entire hour, we will be
Go
back.
us.
What?
Go us.
Go us. Woo! We'll be back next week at the same time. So thank you very much and bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.